Chicagoland. Just 2 rounds to go. This one and one more. And that will be that. This is the final destination before we head to IndyCar's home of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This is going to be an important one today. It's going to be high pace, going to be fast, and crucially, we're going to see a lot of side-by-side racing here from Joliet, Illinois, here in the United States of America. It's a 2.46 kilometer track. The Crest Autosport IndyCar Series here. Your IndyCar Oval Series is in full flow. I'm Dick Sperry, bringing you all of the action today from a very, very cold track here today. So, questions to be asked, 2 on top in terms of the championship, and a lot to try and uncork and understand the longer that these go forward. But the opportunity here, of course, with Apex Tracks, the motorsport and motor racing circuit wall art racetrack sculpture creators, and do so with manufactured Formula One and motorsport-inspired rapid prototyping technologies, will be all about control. And who can control the race at the front, from second, from third, they're going to be key. Along with that, we've got Track Racer, 603 Autosport, lovely stickers, Digital Motorsport, Esports Sim, and the GP box along with us for the ride here with Crest Autosport TV on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. Welcome along, and do give us a like, a follow, and a subscribe, whatever platform you're on, how you're watching, where you're watching. Perfect time to get yourself in on the action. And moving on forward, let's talk schedule for this moment in time. Of course, we did have to miss Kentucky last time out after a few technical issues going forward, but round 11 here at Chicagoland shouldn't see such troubles bring themselves into the foreground. This is a track which everyone's going to be getting themselves a little bit antsy on and trying to get as much as they can from it. But on top of that, as well, a few little changes on the back end, which will certainly be helping a few changes on the front end as we get things moving forward to Indianapolis a week from today. And it is worth noting, ladies and gentlemen, that if you do want to race with us here at Crest Autosport, the final round here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is completely free to enter. All you got to do is get yourself with Crest Autosport, and you have that opportunity to join in the final round for absolutely nothing at the start of the 13th week of iRacing, which is the time where everyone gets their chance to go out there and experience. Take part, go to crestautosport.com/IndyCar-series today to get yourself in on that action. So, with that all in mind, let's talk championship. There's 2 drop rounds available, and we know that the round at Kentucky does not exist, so the points are exactly as we left them. Overall, Barendregt 4 to the good on Alex Everett right now, and it should be a really, really close affair. Everett's got an 18-point race to go and drop, and it should be the same as well here for Tijs Barendregt, who should also have an 18-point race to drop. So it's dead even. 4 points to the good. Everett needs a better result than Barendregt to tighten up the championship further, bringing ourselves to round 11, or to round 12 going forward as Basic Racing Team versus Crest Autosport continues on in this championship. Steadman needs a minor miracle to bring himself back into play. Effectively, he can drop 19 points, but hasn't had the same element of victory and podium to go and get exactly what is needed on the book. So we'll keep that in mind as the racing goes on with us. And of course, we've got a lot to try and figure out in terms of our battles today here at Chicagoland. That is a wreck on the front stretch that we just managed to catch the back end of. Ollie Peters and looks like Tijs Barendregt getting caught up in that as well, as they were going around 3 and 4. But the checkered flag comes out then in practice, and we will move to one-shot qualifying in the not-too-distant future, and a bumper grid then today in order to sort out who is going to be where. 14 cars in for the action, and as we all know, anything is possible when it comes to racing. We could see some incredible action here in these Delaras and these IR18s that find themselves in play. So we should be seeing the first drivers looking to get themselves out onto circuit then. Inigo Mardones will be the first, and is already rolling here a little bit outside of the grid box. So Inigo Mardones gets the call. There are a few issues over radio communication last week, and it looks like they have been sorted. So the Neki Racing Team Spaniard, we're going to see his first real opportunity then to put any reasonable time down on the books, getting it all nice and sorted. So we're talking track conditions out there right now. Track temperature is 26 degrees, and that, by all intents, should be cold. It means that these tyres are going to last a lot longer out there in terms of their qualifying runs. So right now, making that charge through 3 and 4, and now onto the front stretch. It should be a pretty important battle, taking that medium line through the opening section, not wanting to push it down low in the natural out into out in a track which is very, very easy just to lisk it into the corners here. You're always trying to carry as much as you can, flicking between 214, 215 miles an hour and charging over towards the line. The first lap in is a 25.3 from Inigo Mardones, which is about 4/10 off of his fastest time in practice. And it should be a good challenge here, going really low on the banking, on the back stretch. It's not exactly a straight back stretch. It's got a small kink in the middle of it. So you have to be very alert to where the car is working as you go through. It's very unique in terms of the 1.5 milers, but over the line, that is a 24.948. That is a good lap go through. DL Lemon then will be next. Kentucky had his lap invalidated for crossing over the pit line, and the Sim Racing Associates Bitcoin Sim Racing team car should have a good run. The Texan looking to try and get as much as possible out of this one, as the only American here in the series in the number 21 car. So is this going to be a case of time is going to work? First lap on the book is 25.1. The 0.2 of a second to find then over the course of the second lap. And we are seeing this as a track where drivers, it seems at least initially, they are getting quicker and quicker as this goes on, and about their second lap should be when they get themselves into a real operating temperature right down low. You can see by the way that you take that bottom line, but it's a little bit bumpy on that low line, so you've got to be careful of it. And that is a 25.018, not good enough to beat Inigo Mardones, who is in control of things at this point in time. Now, in the Scooby-Doo Subaru car, it will be one Mr. David Whitehouse who will be out there now trying to put a lap time in, number 6, as they go through. And this should be a case of car number 6 trying to get as much as possible. So it should be as much of a challenge as it possibly can. And in the wall, coming out there of 4, that will compromise the first lap, which won't count because an instant point has been scored on the book. And this second lap is now going to be really down in terms of pace. And that then for David Whitehouse, it's going to be a case of what can you do? There is damage on the kart, so you'd also get the black and orange meatball flag, which will invalidate any lap if there is terminal damage on the car, which apparently there was. So Ben Bennyworth will now be able to get the Coke car out there and on for a race, at least at this moment in time. So an interesting start there. That's what pressure can do to you. You push a little bit too hard out of 4, you glance off against these safer barriers, and the right side of the suspension caving in then for Whitehouse. What can 96 Ben Bennyworth do, though? Has had this there or thereabout style of racing, which has been quite important. We'll see whether this is going to figure out in terms of where everyone is going to be lining up. So through the long left, trying to get as much as possible out there on the lap. And let's see what this first lap does. It's a 25.166 then from Ben Bennyworth. He's got to get more out of this one here on the second lap. Running first to second groove through opening 1 and 2. And this small lisk to the left as this wide expanse goes into 3 and 4. And of course, got that ability to just run up the circuit and get as much as possible out of the final section. And that is a 1:04. So Bennyworth, third fastest of the 3. Now it's up to the Dane to go a little bit quicker. This will be Jürgen Pedersen, who will be trying to get the Team Madsby car up as high as possible in the number 7. So making this run again. Currently about a tenth and a half, splitting the top 3 drivers at this point in time, with Inigo Mardones, the quickest of them all at this moment. And these drivers are going to be a little bit at the mercy of the weather as well. We are in mostly cloudy conditions, so as the track heats up or cools down, we've got sun on the circuit right now, and that should be key. First lap comes in, that's a 25.2 from Jürgen Pedersen. Needs to find a 10th to move up position then and get exactly what's needed. There'll be no Tim Stroh here today, which will mean Alexander Rogenbach will be the next driver out and racing after this. And once again, Andy Scott will not be taking to the grid in terms of qualifying. He chooses not to qualify as Pedersen makes that drive to the line. It is a 25.074. It's good enough to jump Ben Bennyworth and go third fastest as things stand. So now it will be Alexander Rogenbach, the German's turn, to try and put a lap together. We haven't seen him up there at the front so far this season. He's just been picking up finishes as and where he can. And car number 70 will definitely be searching for a good run here. Moving through 3 and 4. About 2:15 on entry. Trying to get as much as possible off of the exit. And charge for the line. It's a 25.318. So definitely struggling on the straight line. As that is a very aggressive line in. But again, a lot of scrub going through the turn. And that is costing Rogenbach here in terms of time. Just scrubbing off a lot of speed. It might be something to do with the way that the in-car tools are working. The anti-roll bar and the weight jacker can always change. And it might be that which is causing a bit of scrubbing. 25.127 behind Ben Bennyworth there in number 70. Next up, though, is Jeremy Pronk out there on track. So Pronk will be looking for a good run. Has the 1 race win so far this season, but has been intermittent in terms of starts. So watching his beloved football team does take Pronk's priority from time to time. Moving through, you can see the blue flashing light on the dash. He's right up against the limiter. Going through then in the 5th gear, which is not to accelerate up into 6th. And 5th and 6th gears are often very, very close in terms of what they're able to do. That is a 25.008 from Jeremy Pronk. It is good enough to be about half a tenth behind Inigo Mardones, who's still in the Necchi car, is in control at this moment in time with the first time set in qualifying. Pronk will come to the line. There's a 24.953, short by 5,000. Giving everything on that second lap, but just wasn't able to find it. And we are starting to get into some big hitters now. Ollie Peters will be next. And of course, they qualify themselves in championship order. But it's also worth keeping in mind that however they are in the championship is the way that they will go out there and put their times together on the board. Peters taking a really low line right against the apron. They can't use any of the apron in qualifying or the race. Ollie Peters here trying to take as much as possible out of this first lap. So 25.042. It's a pretty good start there to go into 4th position, just behind DL Lemon. It's ahead of Jürgen Pedersen, but Peters will be looking for this second lap to come into play here. Again, just trying to minimize it. Very much the case of I'm staying low, low, and low. You are going to get more scrubbing going through the corner, but if you're not losing that much speed, which Peters is proving, then it might work. He improves slightly to an 0.33, and that, in essence, will remain 4th place for the 1-2-1. Next up will be Leonardo Paleta, such a consistent driver as the Italian for ALP. His teammate Alfredo Morales will go behind him. But the key here, at least for the moment, for Leonardo Paleta, get a good time on the board, because there are some really quick drivers, and this will be one of the more unpredictable races of the season. Paleta moving through 3 and 4 and trying to get this first lap in on the board. It's a 1.76, slowest lot so far from Paleta. He'll really need to up his game here. He's doing so fantastically, flicking down to just about 218 miles an hour only which is a pretty good turn at 1 and 2. And now we'll have to try and follow the same. 219, 218, little flicks into 217, but that should be okay. Paleta to the line. It's a 24.959. It's only good enough for third fastest, though, for Leonardo Paleta. 100th, splitting just about the top 3, as it'll be his Venezuelan teammate, Alfredo Morales. Great qualifier. Race pace sometimes can leave a little to be desired. But what can number 18, residing in Canada at this moment in time, find in terms of a really, really good race here today? Moving through 1 and 2 and now into 3 and 4. Is this going to be the lap where he decides he wants to put himself up on the top? It's an 0.28 to start. That's good enough for 5th place. He just bumps down Ollie Peters. So he needs to find himself about 0.08 of a second if he wants pole position outright here at this moment. And it could be so crucial having the track position here today and not having to work incredibly hard to get yourself through the field. With how close it's been, 2/10 have split everyone in qualifying, and over the line it's a 970. It's good enough to jump the 11th and move into 4th position only. So the ALP cars are 3rd and 4th, but 3rd in the championship, Dave Steadman. He has been not the greatest qualifier in the world, but he is so good at just constructing a race and getting himself a consistent finish. He knows how to avoid all the pitfalls and all the troubles. That's why he's got 1 race win to his name so far this season. Moving through then 3 and 4 and looking to get this first lap sorted on the books here for car number 74. Riding up the circuit, taking a more natural and conventional way around this place. 25.206. Not good enough as of yet, but the charge is still there. He's still got another lap, and this is going to be the key as he tries to push forward and get as much as he can. Got a northerly wind at 16 kilometers an hour as well, so that will also be playing a little bit of havoc out there on circuit as Steadman makes the run for the line and does a 9.46, steals it away by only a couple of thousandths. Dave Steadman with the whole shot, but Welsh Dynamite to the foreground. Alex Everett now will take the Apex Tracks car forward and will try and get as much of a drive as possible here. Knows he's got to put some points up against Thijs Barendregt, give himself as much of an advantage as possible, moving through 3 and 4 and looking to try and get this lap all sorted together and over the line for the first attempt. It's a 25.010. That's 6th position at least as the banker. Now you go out and really try and make it happen. Look at this personification of smooth. No wiggle in the car at all. It's like it's planted on rails as it goes through 3 and 4. What can Everett find at this moment here, making the run over towards the line? 9.45 the time to beat. Answer 9.48. Tied the time with Inigo Mardones and is a couple thousandths short of Dave Steadman. Not ideal in the slightest. And now only one driver remains, and it will be Thijs Barendregt, who will be trying to get the basic racing team car. The Dutchman, very similar to a Robert Wickens, as he tries to get himself a run, and he tries to use the high line here to start. He's trying to gear it up through for this second lap only. Sacrifices the first lap, tries to get the second lap all sorted. A 2.96 by taking that high line. But will it work here with this run on this second lap? Flicking down to about 2.18. Trying to get as much as possible here, using the 6th gear instead of the 5th. Now that is interesting, and having to take a little bit of a stab there through 3 and 4, was low in on the entry, brushing up against the apron slightly, so that wouldn't have helped. A 24.992 only, and Barendrecht's qualifying woes will continue here at these very aggressive tracks. He will go only 7th fastest then, and will leave a lot of work to do to overtake during the race. So that will be qualifying put together in the books, and ultimately it is a pole position for Dave Steadman's number 74 machine out there. We'll get the qualifying results up on screen in the next couple of moments, but Dave Steadman with it by 0.03 of a second. But Tim Stroh at this point in time has only just now managed to make it into service. So now this is going to be another interesting thing on whether Tim Stroh will get a qualifying lap time or not. here at this point in time. He did miss his slot out there in qualifying, so it's not necessarily all over. So it will put us up to 15 drivers. He will not get his qualifying. It was in a little bit too late, and as such, we'll start from the back of the grid then here with the qualifying effort. So that is definitely not the ideal by that standard, but we can get qualifying results all up on screen, and it will be Dave Steadman's control then with a 24.945 ahead of Alex Everett and then Diego Mardones on his effectively first start for the Necchi Racing team. Third is definitely a great qualifying. Jeremy Pronk from fourth, Leonardo Paleta in fifth, and Alfredo Morales in sixth, meaning ALP are on the third row. Thijs Barendregt with a lot of work to do from seventh, with DL Lemon in eighth, Ollie Peters ninth, and Jurgen Pedersen in 10th. Ben Bennyworth is 11th, with Alexander Rogenbach in 12th. A lot of work for Tim Stroh or digital racing car of David Whitehouse will be going off from 15th position of 15 to what is an 100-lap race here from Chicagoland Speedway. Warm up then. The last chance to get an understanding of the race set, an understanding of what is so important and so needed in terms of these battles. There is Alfredo Morales out there on track. And 15 cars on the grid, by the way, is the most amount of cars we've seen all season long, which is really, really promising to see. As DL Lemon in the number 21, again, takes his race to the next level. Let's try and get his first shot at victory here today. But the key is going to be so, so important. How do you work in the draft? How aggressive do you want to be early on? What can you save in terms of a fuel margin? And how much are you going to want to use those tyres by going up onto the higher lines of the track? Those are what we're going to see over the course of the racing. You can see just the quickest exchanges of what makes racing at Chicagoland so beautiful and so difficult. Always going to be a case of not really finding or touching the brakes out there on track. And these three getting their practices in as Everett looks to thread the needle and go 3 wide almost at that point in through 3 and 4. So 15 cars, most that we've seen here in a race, does mean more tendency for issue out there, but this has been an incredibly clean series in terms of the way that these drivers have gone out there, have raced, have tried to put things together. And from my understanding of next season, there might be a day change in the offing to get more people available on the round to race here at the Crest Autosport IndyCar Oval Series here in iRacing. And that could be really, really promising for the future. So a lot of drivers then give themselves a chance. And this is one of the few tracks where legitimately I'd say 7 or 8 drivers have a really, really good chance of picking up a victory today if luck goes their way. And having the front of the field is never necessarily the easiest challenge to have, but they know that they've got a long way to go with 100 laps around this place, which should go by very, very quickly in terms of what this series has been able to do. So we will definitely see whether that will happen in terms of the way that all these drivers are pushing forward, as you've got yourself every single chance then to make it happen. There is Dave Steadman out there on circuit. He's got the pole position. He's got the most unenviable task of anybody out there when it comes to qualifying, or it comes to the race even, starting on the front at a very draft-centric circuit where skill is not necessarily the forefront, about positioning more than anything else. So we will see whether that is going to work. And one of the 2 new starters then, Inigo Mardones in the number 17 car, who's just coming out of the pits right now, and straight into the grass then, and oops, we're going around. Definitely holds a very good ability out there, does Inigo, and this should be an important charge then in terms of this one, as well as DL Lemon's number 21, as he looks to battle with Alex Everett and get a little bit of an understanding of the title contenders out there on track. So should be some good opportunities then to score some big points and effectively bounty hunt for results. It is a championship of 2 that we continue to keep talking about. It will be Everett, it will be Barendregt. If those 2 come together, then you'd say Dave Steadman does hold an outside shot of the championship. but he is now relying on results from elsewhere, essentially, to make things happen. Tim Stroh there on the bottom, as out of the pits will come Alfredo Morales. All about challenge today, holding yourself in position. What can car 44 do to move through the field? 44, effectively like the 46 of cycling. Now a legendary number out there in its own right as drivers go through. Checker flag out, though, in warm-up. Be heading down to the grid, and we'll be heading there right about now. So, let's get the grid sorted. Dave Steadman then, 0.02 of a second ahead of Alex Everett and Inigo Mardones. The numbers that we can't see, although they are tied on times, the 10,000th position, Alex Everett was slightly quicker. Jeremy Pronk will go from 4th position. 13,000 splitting the top 5, 24,000 splitting the top 6 as Paleta and Morales go 5th and 6th, with Thijs Barendregt 7th and DL Lemon in 8th position. Following that is Ollie Peters and Jurgen Pedersen, with Ben Bennyworth in 11th and Alexander Rogenbach back there in 12th position outright. And the three that didn't set a time in qualifying, Stroh, Scott and Whitehouse, will make the 15 drivers out there on the grid today, as everyone now finds themselves lined up behind the iRacing sedan pace car and a safety car out there, which is, as we always say, a nondescript sedan with iRacing sponsorship, as if to not make sure that anyone else is on the wrong side of things here today. But control of the field with car 74 and Dave Steadman. This is going to be a really interesting battle here from Chicagoland. Not every track is easy, and I wouldn't say that racing here is going to be easy. 3 wide at a push is always going to be treacherous out there. It is very narrow in terms of the circuit of how much room you have on the banking, and it really is a natural progression of banking. It's very, very much a track which, if you are going to push that high line, it can work, but you do have to be very, very brave to make that happen. And we should see a lot of drivers lifting off, choosing not to elect to make an overtake in order to play the fuel game to its greatest possible level. Thijs Barendregt going from 7th will need a lot of help as well, as he looks to try and push through. He's got the 2 ALP cars, who I'm not sure they're sending Christmas cards here on the first day of December. Of course, a lot of people will be hoping that their early Christmas present will be a race victory or even a championship. There's Barney the flagman sitting there with the flag as the drivers then get the green flag call, and we get ourselves underway then here from Chicagoland. 100 laps then here in Illinois. They call it, of course, in Chicago, the Windy City, the second city as well. And there are no second chances here today as they push through 1 and 2 for the first time. Jurgen Pedersen, you can see there, trying to make some challenges already. Barendregt on the right side then of Alfredo Morales as they move through 3 and 4, 2 wide as Inigo Mardones looks to try and get by Alex Everett, but Steadman staying low is giving a lot of help there out there at the moment. And immediately a caution, 1 lap in and it's a caution. And it's trouble for Jurgen Pedersen, who is in the wall, then coming onto the front stretch. And that drama coming early is Pedersen washing up with aero wash, trying to come back down low. And ultimately, Stroh and Bennyworth getting caught up in the accident then. It was Bennyworth who couldn't get out of the throttle in time. And there's the secondary contact there as Tim Stroh, being at the back, didn't need that off of the start. Bennyworth just couldn't keep it down on the apron, and Stroh, an innocent bystander then. They are able, I believe, here in this series, they will have the 1 fast repair, but they will be multiple laps down in terms of this one, and it'll be a long road back to get themselves there. So an incident at the back throws a caution then on the opening lap. We haven't seen a lap 1 caution in this series since all the way back in Phoenix, which was the second round of the championship. So it's been a long time since we had one of those, and effectively a chance for everyone then to settle down for a single file restart. Exactly what Dave Steadman wanted here was just a few laps to be chalked off the board early behind some safety car running, and ultimately case to now settle down and see who has really gained In terms of the front 9 positions, there have been no changes in the field by that respect. David Whitehouse, no surprises, is up. And Ollie Peters is coming down in then for the early stop. He's got nothing to lose here. He'll still have to make a stop in regulation, so to speak. But what this does allow him to do now is top his car off back to maximum. And if there was any damage, he'd be able to fix some of it. Doesn't look like the car is damaged in any way, shape or form. This will just be a regulation. I'm going to top up on a little bit of fuel. And I might be able to go a little bit longer than some of the other drivers and effectively take a little bit less in that initial stop. So that should give him the ability to go out there and actually gain maybe a little bit in terms of the stop. Pedersen, who actually managed to get the car around and pitted, will stay on the leading lap. Now that's going to be really crucial there, being able to stay on the lead lap. So Pedersen, who did make the mistake by washing up through 3 and 4 in the dirty air, effectively gets another life. Whereas Stroh and Bennyworth, who are in what is 14th and 15th now on pit road, they are going to be at least a lap down, potentially 2, hoping for a lot more cautions and effectively to work their way to the front of the train as and when the caution comes out. So Steadman, Everett, Mardones, Pronk and Paleta are your top 5 at this point in time. As things stands, Barendregt will take this race as his 2nd drop round. If things are to stay like this, his worst finish so far for car number 2 is a 4th place finish this season, which tells you all you need to know about his level of consistency. Alex Everett has been the most winningest driver over the course of the season, and we'll be certainly hoping that car number 3 moves forward. But you talk about chances, this is the perfect time to have them. Lights, of course, are off on top of that iRacing sedan safety car, which means we are going to green flag running when we get ourselves back into play. So we should be seeing this one as an important challenge in terms of the early stages of the race. Single file, they will line up. And as they make the charge, who's got what it takes to get a good jump off of this restart? We saw it was a late go. It was a go on the green instead of just before the green from Dave Steadman. Might play into a factor on how the Apex Tracks car just behind might make a challenge. And I tell you what, that Apex Tracks car looks very, very similar to a mid-2000s McLaren out there. As into the pits will come the iRacing safety car. Late cool down into the pits as well. There's the green flag. And we're back underway again. Steadman had it completely covered. Everyone goes high. Can only pass on the outside. And immediately, DL Lemon falling behind David Whitehouse back in the field. Not much more to say about that. Mardones looking to get aggressive out of the pits after the tow. Both Stroh now and Bennyworth, who will fall 2 laps down and to the back of the pack as well, as they charge around 3 and 4, back on green flag running. A look from Everett up top then. He's going to challenge for the race lead here to get by Dave Steadman. Steadman not having it there on that low line. Holding it off nicely. Mardones just there waiting. And then you got Morales, who is around Paleta. Moves up into 5th position. So already some nice moves then being done. Stroh back into the pits then. As here comes another look from Everett. He's not going to quite get there though. You got Mardones there waiting. Jeremy Pronk, who's got a race win to his name over the course of this season. And a little look as they fan, thinking of 3 wide through 1 and 2 once again. And not able to quite get there over this lap. And now you're starting to see everyone jostling for position here. Look how aggressive. 3 wide in the middle. Pronk going backwards. An ALP sandwich, both low and high, trying to get the run sorted. Barendregt just watching and waiting to see where the move's going to come along. Still stuck high and almost a look 3 wide as well. Inigo Mardones, and it will be Paleta who starts to drift out with that dirty air. Unable to get anything, and they fall back into line. Everett again searching for the race lead as they go through. Barendregt as well, trying to go on the outside and find a way through and move up another position. Not quite happening yet at the moment. So again, the search is there. 2 wide, almost 3 wide. Chicagoland, such a beautiful place to see beautiful racing. We're already on lap 10 here of 100. So 1/10 of the race scored in the books right now as they move forward. Still Everett trying to cover. Mardones is desperate to make that third line work. And again, that third line doesn't. He's the only one really making something of it, as Barendregt in the background will find himself around then Morales, who's going backwards. DL11 is there. So too Ollie Peters. 9 in the group. Maybe being dropped slightly is Rogenbuck and Whitehouse. They'll have to be careful about this. And Paleta around Pronk moves up into 4th position now. So we're really seeing these moves, and it is a very, very important battle as Steadman and Everett still maintaining their control at the front. And it's all about where you want to be in this group. Paleta now looking to try and move up into 3rd is the Italian. And Morales almost up and did brush against the wall slightly. Will fall behind Ollie Peters there. And stop moving about, says Alfredo Morales on the radio. He was very much on the top side and felt that his line was compromised as he went through the corner. So he's got to be careful. He's still got a race right now, but he's got a lot of work now to get back into it. And again, Paleta making moves, and Barendrecht's now also trying to work up high. You've got to work as a team here on that high line to get that pass. It looks like the low line is just fading slightly as Morales here is just in the back working. Steadman still holding control, running that line of least resistance on the bottom. And it is working at this stage in time for one Mr. Dave Steadman. I tell you what, this would be the perfect time to try and save fuel. This might be a race for DL Lemon, who could really do something well. He's got past Jeremy Pronk as well. Pronk going the wrong way at this point in time. And so too now Ollie Peters as Whitehouse makes a move and tries to power around there on the outside of Morales then in the ALP car. The Venezuelan looking like he's going to be in a little bit of trouble at this point in time. All laps so far led by Steadman. There will be a big scrap for fastest lap as well out there on track, so keep that in mind. Stroh is out there 6 laps down, 4 laps down now, sorry, is Jürgen Pedersen, and 3 laps down is Ben Bennyworth. Off the back is Andy Scott. Everybody else is in the group, including Rogenbuck right now, as he's going to try and make a pass at the back of the train against Jeremy Pronk, but the front is where our cameras find focus at the moment here, with Everett again trying to search that outside, but he hits that wall of air out there. He gets no benefit from the toe. He can't make it happen. You got there Inigo Mardones in 3rd, Paleta 4th, and Barendregt was trying to thread the needle, try and push it 3 wide. No need to do that just yet. We don't need to be that aggressive. We're not inside the final 10, where drivers will start to think about how aggressive they want to be out there on track. Looks again on the top, this time from Paleta in through 1 and 2. Isn't going to quite get there here on lap 17. It's a real chase to get in the draft at this point in time. You want to try and get a car that's quicker than the line. You've got to choose the right line. And I tell you what, it's working well for Whitehouse at this point in time. He gets himself through now on DL Lemon. Another position then for the driver who started dead last in this field. Had put it in the wall in qualifying, and now trying to get past Mardones then as he moves up into 5th position now. As it's Barendregt now in 4th, and they're still fighting for that lead. So some great work being done by the Sessor digital racing car in a Scooby-Doo Subaru car. Doing a great job at this moment in time. Great work as well. The outside line is working nicely then, as Barendregt falls back temporarily into what is 5th position. And the focus still there as Paleta tries to get on the back of Everett and Steadman on this challenge. And what an aggressive start to the race that we have had. 3 wide through 3 and 4. Paleta will try and fall back into line, and suddenly that second line disappears. And it is now Alfredo Morales working very well back up into 5th place. And there's starting to become a gap here to Inigo Mardones, who is there in 7th position. It's a couple of tenths of a second, about 3 tenths here. And Rogenbuck, Peters, Lemon, they're all at risk of being dropped if they're not careful. So they've got to stay with the aggressiveness of the train. And again, Everett just marshalling the high line, covering back down low as and when he needs to get the run, to bring himself back to alongside and make that challenge on the outside line. And again, it is just that low line cover from Dave Steadman. It's doing just enough, and it's a really, really strong result we're seeing at this moment in time. Peters and Rogenbuck making some work. Rogenbuck way up there in terms of the track, would have been outside on the marble slightly. A little bit of a wiggle there on the low side from DL Lemon, the Texan, having to be a little bit cautious moving around the track as they make their progress forward. So they've always got that to be concerned about, that high line trying to be manufactured here, and everyone has pulled away from Dave Steadman on that line. At one moment there on that backstretch, they were all on the high line searching for runs, and now you got Barendregt up into third position. That's the last place that Alex Everett wants to see him. Morales with a power run is now up to fourth, and Whitehouse down on the bottom now, trying to search around to get this position sorted. We've gone effectively almost 20 laps now on green flag running here. Everett still trying to work the outside as Steadman has just kept his line. Peters now trying to have a little search in the background as well as they push almost 3 wide there with DL Lemon as well, trying to get around and gain a place, and not quite finding it at this point, but it's all about staying with. I think Mardones here is really struggling. He's now fallen behind Jeremy Pronk, and now Whitehouse starts to drop back. So how aggressive are drivers using their tyres to move up through the field? Peters trying to have a little search as well on the high liners. Barendregt pushing it almost 3 wide. That fanning process here at Chicagoland, something that we've seen quite a bit of here in this race. And the focus again down low for Alfredo Morales. We're 2 wide, 2 deep as they go through. And a little look up high as well from Ollie Peters. He couldn't quite find a move either. So we're really seeing a lot of chopping and changing then in terms of the mid-pack as they try and funnel in and find their positions. But outside of that, it has been a little bit more difficult to find. Still though, a quarter of this race now score complete. Every lap led by car 74, Dave Steadman. We haven't seen any variance or deviation from that. A lot of repetition and not a lot of hesitation out there on circuit. They have more than just a minute to try and focus on what they need to do as they go into 3 and 4 once again. Steadman just marshalling this group, controlling the field to his tempo, his tune, and it's very scary when you're flat out at 360 kilometers an hour plus, trying to get what you want. Morales on the low side for a moment up into third position as he races hard with Thijs Barendregt, the Dutchman, as he looks to try and get himself pushing, trying to be as much of an Arie Lurendyk as much as possible. 3 wide in the middle then as they go through. Jeremy Pronk's back in the pack and starting to fight. He got through on Peters and on DL Lemon as well, with a really, really strong fight there. So great moving. Pronk, who spent a lot of time at the back of this pack now, starts to move forward as Everett really struggles going through. That's the first mistake we've seen of him, and he drops well back in the pack now to 4th to 5th position, struggling through 1 and 2. I wonder if he had a little bit of a wiggle midway through the corner. He did. He had the slightest unsettling as he went through, and that's dropped him back now into the pack. Pronk really low, 2 tyres on the apron. Everett's got to go high now on Paleta, and the group checks up as they go 3 wide through 1 and 2 once again. It allows the top 3 a little bit of escapism at this point in time, but Everett stuck on that high line, and almost in the wall there was both Whitehouse and Rogenbach then as they went through 3 and 4, but they all funnel out, but they do scrub a lot of speed, especially Rogenbach, who's got to stay within the draft range as they charge through. It is Steadman who leads, Morales in 2nd, Barendregt now in 3rd, Pronk is 4th, and Paleta is in 5th. Such a great chop and change we've seen here at Chicagoland. It has been the sort of circuit that we love to see. Close fighting all the way through, and clean fighting we have seen as they try and desperately stay through. 5 there. Paleta's managed to get back. So too has Jeremy Pronk, as Pronk now moves on to the high side looking for 2nd. DL Lemon under pressure as well as Whitehouse tries to go around the outside, but Pronk now up for a moment, the briefest moment, into 2nd, but 3rd it will be. And that small kink as well is not going to be helping drivers as they go around and try and get as much as they can through on the back stretch. It does help the inside line ever so slightly, that small run forward. So it is worth noting that with Dave Steadman out in front, he is unable to save fuel the same way that other drivers have been able to. He will be expected to be one of, if not the first driver to dive down in the lane and get something sorted. Everett now back up into 4th. He's through on Pronk, as so too now trying to get that move done is Paleta. Barendregt now will be gaining points in the championship if they stay as is at the moment. Paleta now looking low side, going to take it away, try and move up the circuit, force Pronk to struggle, but Pronk with great drive out of that exit with a little bit of help from the train behind. Whitehouse helping out a little bit, so too DL Lemon. It's about positioning right now. Who's done the best amount of positioning in this race? Stedman, though, with control. Morales holding second, finding out how difficult it is to get by into the race lead outright here at this moment as they pan a little bit behind. Pronk still trying to get through. Pronk and Whitehouse trying to get through right now, and almost in the wall. I think just brushing the wall there was DL Lemon. Texan getting a little bit squeezed on the outside through 3 and 4. No harm, no foul. Continues to go. Doesn't really lose a position here. And now Everett trying to go low on Barendregt. That's going to be key as well, because this is championship we're talking. Unable to make it happen. The high line was working fantastically as the group forms back together again. And they stay all in line, all the way to the back with Inigo Mardones and Alexander Rogenbach pushing 2 wide. But they're starting to now lose contact here with the group of 2 wide, with Peters and Lemon, for example, and Paleta and Whitehouse. And here comes another little look then. 5 at the front with a real chance as things look right now. Morales again, just holding off Barendregt here and saying, I'm not letting you through. Here comes Jeremy Pronk as well. He's trying to make that high line work, and it has worked nicely there, and he gets the move. He moves up into 4th position. Different drivers with different strategies at this point, and choosing to save their fuel, and different gearing at different points in time. 5th or 6th. Trying to save as much. It's a tactics game. And at least for the moment, it is still Dave Stedman who holds the control of the pack on lap 37. The issue's going to be now how they choose to be aggressive when it comes to their pit stop. If you funnel off from the back, it's easy. If you're going off of the front, you're going to be scrubbing a lot of time here in terms of how you do it. Here comes Barendregt, though, up high, trying to take second away. Washing out, though, through 1 and 2. And that will put Morales back in control. The Venezuelan searching for his first win of the season. Stedman looking for his second. Barendregt his third. And Everett really hoping that another one on the books is going to be doing some help. Good work as well by the second pack, by the way, as Paleta's been struggling a little bit. Whitehouse has been there. Barendregt on the outside will get there on Morales. And Everett's now got himself onto that outside line as well, but he's got no help all of a sudden. Barendregt trying to work around the outside. He's not going to get there on Stedman just yet. And Everett looking for drive out of 4. Isn't going to quite find it. At least not for the moment. You've got opportunities there. A little bit of apron there from Morales. That's going to cost him 3rd. And a little bit of apron from Lemon. It's going to cost him a lot more than that, as he drops all the way behind now. Rogenbach and maybe Mardones as well. So some troubles there as drivers start to lose that concentration. Grab a bit of apron. And to get themselves into trouble. It's a high banking here. So if you do touch apron, you will be in a little bit of trouble. But this has been some really solid racing, and it's fallen to single file for the first time in terms of this pack. Everett still searching on Barendregt, as the 2 ALP cars who have been known heavy tyre users over the course of these races have been doing really well, actually, to keep themselves in play in 4th and in 5th at this moment in time. And they could be real threats later on, but they've been allowing car 74 to stay out there to control the pace of the field. And Everett with another little wiggle coming through the middle of 2. And this brings again Morales with a sterling run to the inside. And the Venezuelan living in Canada for the moment gets the mark to go to 3rd position here in this race. So certainly has been working well. In terms of how strong the draft has been for all of these drivers, Andy Scott's now 8 seconds adrift of the drivers who are not who are in the train, and it's about 1.7 between the top 11. Here comes a little move down low from Rogenbach as he races hard with Jeremy Pronk, who's really fallen back over the last 10 laps. Was up there fighting, hoping for a 3rd place or so. And won't be as such at the moment, as he's trying to hold on to 7th against the German. And Rogenbach struggling a little bit. Now Whitehouse on the train. He's just been quietly there. He's been yo-yoing. He's been great for 5 laps, bad for 5 laps. Great for 5 laps, bad for 5 laps. And again, he looks great for about 5 laps right now as he gets around Paleta. And for the moment, will move up into the top 5. They're starting to lose a little bit of ground, though. They're about 0.3 of a second away. And they've got to stay with that at this point, as the front 4 working well with Stedman at the front, Barendregt 2nd, Morales in 3rd, and Everett then in 4th, fanning out in towards 3 and 4 once again. And are we going to be seeing drivers thinking about that pacing going into the pits. It's worth noting they would have saved a lot of fuel under that safety car period as they were trundling around in the lowest fuel mix they could possibly find, or as they try and get things going again. Whitehouse falling back. Pronk now starts to look good again. It's such a yo-yo here at Chicagoland. You love it here in this second group. One driver suddenly finds some pace and is looking good, the other suddenly doesn't. And this is where it gets really interesting, and the respect between these drivers really does get maximised in a field like this. And the pit stops right now, I think, is the key to winning this race. If you get a bad pit stop, that's it, you're done, you're out of it. Pronk with a power move on Paleta, round the outside and up into fifth and trying to chase down Alex Everett. Again, Morales searching high, isn't going to quite get there, but the train forms up once again. So we head to 48 of 100 here at Chicagoland, here from Joyley in Illinois. And again, here is the challenge that we find. Drivers high or low. Whitehouse getting some good running there on the high side around Ollie Peters. Now a look for the race leader. Stedman dives in, used up all his fuel at the front, has to come in at 48. He'll have to do some saving in that stint to go 52 to the end. He'll need some help. He'll need some friends, and he'll need to be aggressive here on this run. He'll have no help of the train to go and keep this one in check. So Stedman needs that good stop to keep up to speed. Now the question's going to be who comes in, and you don't want to be on the outside coming in. That's why we see a lot of single file right now. Drivers thinking about how aggressively can we come in and make that stop. No other takers then on 49. So it looks like Stedman was having to be aggressive. We got a bit of 2 wide here as Everett now 3 wide. Oh, Jeremy Pronk going high side searching and not finding anything in the end. He still gets the run off the exit though. So he could stay at 3 wide, going to 3 and 4 once again. Pronk though has to fall back into line. Everett trying to get into second here. Barendregt at the front, almost in the wall, and across the grass, it goes Whitehouse, who spins around in the infield and finds himself in trouble. David Whitehouse then, out of contention for the victory, just like that. Everett says he's pitting in, and ultimately for Whitehouse, he just clobbered the wall coming out of 4, and that was his race done. And he'll also get a penalty for an unsafe pit entry. Everett's around! Alex Everett's around, it's a caution! It's a caution, Everett spins coming onto pit lane. Oh, that will throw everyone in. Trouble as well for, oh no, spinning around as well then is going to be Alfredo Morales. So Morales got caught up in it as well. And it was a case of Everett and Morales both coming together. It was Everett trying to get aggressive into the pit. He said he was coming in, trying to dive low, and he ultimately rides back up the circuit, spins, and I think Alfredo Morales just got a tap of what was his rear left and damaged it out. So second caution here, and it is one of the title contenders getting caught up. He'll have his fast repair, but ultimately they will have to put themselves into position as and when the pace car came out. So big dramas, and everyone now will be diving into the pits. A free stop, which will not help Stedman because everyone's going to jump ahead. I'll tell you who is the biggest loser of all of this, and it will be David Whitehouse, who was 1 lap on the wrong side of the caution. And now the battle of pit crews. Everyone will pit now to bring themselves to the end. Watch out for missed boxes as they make that transfer from asphalt to concrete and make their stop work. Dave Stedman, in fact, will go up to the race lead as everyone makes their stop. So there won't be too much love lost there. He'll regain the lead, but Pronk is the best off the lane. Barendregt, then it's Rogenbach and Peters. Peters ahead of Rogenbach. Paleta, Lemon, Mardones, Everett taking a long time in the box. Morales in there as well. And so you're seeing here a completely shaken up field. And this is the sort of race where different people can fight for the win. This is going to be a really interesting battle to the end. And this is where you'd say, if you are one missed... Oh, in fact, actually, that is going to be quite crucial. Dave Stedman was a minute 27 adrift. He might just be on the back of the pack, sorry. So Stedman was a lap down. Doesn't pit in order to get the lap back. So Stedman should get a wave around because he is ahead of the leader. So my apologies. Stedman will be now going to the back of the train. where everybody else right now will be going through. So Jeremy Pronk, who leads your race outright, Thijs Barendregt in second, Ollie Peters third, and Alexander Rogenbach, his best result of the season so far, if it stays like this, he's in fourth and doing a really good job, and he's got the ability to fight for his first victory in this series, and my goodness, would he love that. Paleta is fifth, DL Lemon is in sixth, you got Mardones, Morales, and then Steadman. Alex Everett now 1 lap down, I believe, has not taken the fast repair, or has forgotten to tick his fast repair. And he's going to be there for a very long time. And that might just be any championship challenge over and done with here today at Chicagoland. Second caution then of the day. Still got half the race, or just under half the race, to try and dissect where everyone needs to be. There is the pace car right now, making its way through. We should expect Ben Bennyworth to come off of the front of that group, as well as Dave Steadman in the not too distant future. And the challenge is going to be, okay, we've got this far. We just need to be brave and get ourselves back into position here. What can we do off of the restart to give ourselves the best possible chance of victory? We've seen how aggressive it was. All of the threat of jumping into the pits taken away by Alex Everett, who now falls 2 laps down. And ultimately for him, a real kick in the teeth this will be, in terms of what was an all-important run. I think for Everett, he was trying to bring the car into the pits of his own accord. And the reason why he's taking so long, he's only out now, is he had to take the tow to come down onto the lane. So Everett will escape the pits now. But now Alex Everett's needing a couple miracles. And by miracles, he'll be looking at massive wreck that takes out half, if not all, of the field to get himself back into play. So with that in mind, there will be questions asked. There will be what can you do at this moment. Jeremy Pronk staying really high. Interesting to see how much Barendregt is trying to save some fuel here. Wasn't willing to stay behind the other Dutchman. It's the Dutch 1-2. And look at that. Pronk trying to take advantage here with an early go. That's the disadvantage of trying to play the fuel game long and hoping that driver's going to sit and wait. Barendregt caught napping a little bit, not closing the gap. And we're back to green flag running here. Paleta with a huge gap as he gets by Alexander Rogenbach, who was absolutely nowhere off of that line. And it's now a spread field. And the big fight is in the middle of the pack here. As likes of Morales and Lemon and Mardones, they're all trying to work through and gain themselves some place along with the lap traffic. Pronk, though, has been caught back up to now. And caution comes out. Big wreck on the front stretch then. And it catches out Andy Scott and Jürgen Pedersen. Straight back to caution flags going. Andy Scott, who has been so consistent, getting caught out with the lap traffic. He starts to move, and 2 into 1. Bit of echoed there as they came in together. And whoop, heavy into the wall, and actually into the catch fence went Pedersen there on the front. So a little scare for the fans there in virtual, but that is Andy Scott's race over and done with as well. So the caution flag will come back out. Third caution. It's the most cautions we've had all season long here, and it's come here at Chicagoland. And a 2-car incident then, in what was a very aggressive mid to late pack of cars that were laps down. Certainly doesn't help things then, but it does allow the pack to settle and get themselves back into position. Pronk still in control. Barendregt second, Peters in third, and it's Paleta, Rogenbach, Lemon, Morales, and Mardones. Now, what will be key here, in terms of how the life of the tyres are going to work today, is how many cycles of restarts are you going to be doing on these tyres. You keep getting cautions, you're going to keep having to put the heat into the tyre, and the more that you do that, the less effective that tyre is going to be the longer that a race goes on. So you've also got that to come in. Wouldn't be the end of the world for a driver off the back of the pack, for example, a Dave Steadman, for example, to come down into the pits, get a set of tyres, and come back out again, and effectively put him on a better strategy than anybody else in the field, with easier tyres and easier ability to move through the field. That might be something worth keeping in mind. Just looking at the laps from that opening stint, let's take Barendregt, for example, as someone to keep an eye out on. His best lap was a 24.8 on lap 6. By the time they were getting around to that pit stop cycle, they were on 25.2s and consistently 25.2s all the way around. So about 0.4 of a second is the big drop-off. And we're seeing that after about 7 or 8 laps here in terms of this race. The drop-off on tyre is about 7 or 8 laps before you find that groove and rhythm at around a 25.2 and try and desperately work a way through. Pronk, with control in the 52, takes some laps at the front. And so we're going to have ourselves a very interesting battle between now and the end of this race. Some drivers managed to gain quite a bit, others not so much. And the key's going to be the gap between 5th and 6th, which will be down to nothing at all between Rogenbach and Lemon, Morales and Mardones out there at this point in time. So that's worth seeing. A little fake into the pits potentially there for Barendregt, trying to entice someone to come in and make a stop, and nobody is going to elect to do that at this moment. So we've got an interesting moment here on lap 60 of 100. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, if you are tuning in for the first time, you can enter the Crest Autosport finale, the Indianapolis 100, for free, for absolutely nothing. Sign up at crestautosport.com/IndyCar series. The season finale will be all important because the title will be on the line at the home of IndyCar racing. So, with that being said, Jeremy Pronk, 1 race win all season. Barendregt has been the Mr. Consistency and effectively is doing just a great job to bring himself into play. 2 retirees then, Pedersen and Scott, had both used their 1 fast repair available in the series. That brings them out of the race then, as they try and push for as much as they possibly can out there. And they know that if there was any time to put together the most ultimate of ultimate runs, then inside the last 40 or so laps should be the key. Pace car staying out then for another lap. You can see the lights are on top of them, as there is Jeremy Pronk at this point in time. As we cross the line, the lights on the iRacing sedan safety car, which has had a lot of work here today, should go out, and they do, which means we are going green on this next lap. We'll have ourselves about 39 laps of racing to finish this off. Ollie Peters hasn't been up this high in the field since he got the pole back at Phoenix. We're looking for this to work out quite nicely, but a lot of drivers through the field will be looking to try and make their runs. And it's about placement now. How much are you willing to give up early to get back later? How much are you willing to hold on to things now and give up some later? And the biggest question of them all, which by far and away is an understatement, who's got what it takes to pick up the victory here at Chicagoland? Seems like the sort of circuit where if you're going to get it done, you're going to have to start getting it done pretty quickly if you want to get through. We haven't seen any overtakes for the race lead. Barendregt again leaving a lot of gap. He's got to close it quicker this time. If he doesn't, he's going to be in a bit of trouble. So we'll see how this goes. You can only overtake on the outside. I think Peters has got to be alert to this here if they go through. Pace car's going to dive in. And is Pronk going to go at the same time? No, not this time. He'll wait a little bit and waits for the green flag to drop as we get ourselves back to running again. Rogenbach really slow off of the launch again. Reaction time not quite there. He'll lose Morales, he'll lose Lemon, he'll lose Mardones. If he's not careful, he'll lose to the lap cars as well, who are trying to make their way through. Here comes Barendregt, though, looking to try and make the race lead off of the restart here. Pronk down low, has no help, has no company. And all of a sudden, that low line worked again on the front. He's able to hold it, but Ollie Peters is there in the mix as well as they start to challenge and go down the front stretch then and try and get as much as they can through. Into 1 and 2 again. It's covered off nicely. Paleta is 4th. Morales in 5th. Lemon now up the Texan into 6th position. And Tim Stroh right now is just being a little bit in the mix there with Mardones. So they'll have to be careful of that as well if traffic wants to try and move its way through. Keep an eye out then on that move. As second now goes Ollie Peters. He's trying to do everything possible to make life difficult here. And moving through on that high line, can't quite find it on Jeremy Pronk at this point in time. Pronk will be using a lot of fuel over the course of this one, but I think everyone can go full wick to the end potentially with the way that they're running. We won't be seeing too much troubles in terms of having to whisper to the fuel tank. But here comes Barendregt again down low, using that toe to advantage here, and immediately moving up high side, trying to get that run sorted here. And not quite finding it again on the front. But there is Morales now into fourth. Lemon back there in the Bitcoin car in sixth position. But here comes Barendregt again up high, trying to search for it. There is DL11, but Barendregt up high, trying to get it done. And again, Pronk covers it, but only by a little bit here. It's all about the run. The inside is always favoured at Chicagoland, it seems. And now down low, trying to steal one away is Ollie Peters. He's trying to get there, can't quite. You can see Mardones started to jump up onto the back. And let's not forget Dave Stedman in this race either. He'll have a chance along with Rogenbach to try and pick something off, but they'll have to really dance through some traffic in order to get themselves into play. We find ourselves now with 34 laps to go here. 2/3 of a race as Paleta now falls behind to DL Lemon only for the briefest of moments. I'll have to worry about Ben Bennyworth here, who's in the middle of this. Alex Everett as well. They're racing to try and get laps back here in case there are cautions, which is the reason why the lap traffic will try and make some moves here in this field. But again, top three remain unerring at this point in time. DL Lemon and Leonardo Paleta still fighting too wide. And suddenly now it becomes DL Lemon and Alfredo Morales. Morales now, the Venezuelan, will be falling back here. Of course, he resides from Canada, so a North America, South America battle ends in the North Americans' favour with that move. And Barendregt starting to struggle here, drops back off the group, and there's a check-up for DL Lemon, which very nearly brought Morales in. Very nearly brings Paleta in. And the next of the group comes in. Here comes Ollie Peters to the outside of Jeremy Pronk. Pronk unable to really make it happen then as he holds on to the lead. He's unable to really clear 121. Ollie Peters stuck on that outside line, doesn't get the run. That brings Barendregt back low. And really, being at the front has been the key to winning this race. Haven't seen any overtakes. Barendregt again trying to push on the outside line. You've got to pinch at some point here. They leave a lot of room. They leave a car length and a half, and it's not working here. Got to be more aggressive. DL Lemon up into fourth now, starting to look on it. Almost three wide. Morales in the wall. Morales in the wall. They'll all check up. Everett down low. Suddenly there's no room for Whitehouse, and suddenly they all go through. Stroh now looking on the inside. How have they got away with that one in the back? How have they got away with that one in the back? I thought for sure we were going to have a multi-car pile-up, but somehow everyone is still running, and it's brought the front four away. DL Lemon now pushing for third position now as he tries to get by Thijs Barendregt, fourth position. Barendrecht's forced up the road and almost up into the wall there as through goes the move, and so too does Morales through on Paleta. Peters again fighting for the race lead, trying to go to the outside here on 72. Get it done on Jeremy Pronk, but Pronk is doing more than enough, and Pronk frocking off at this point in time is doing at least as much as possible at this point in time. Is this going to be a case to be made then for the likes of those behind where they've got to start making moves? DL Lemon goes low for the first time. He finds himself up in second. Has he timed his run? Well, Ollie Peters well out of it right now. Lemon going high. Decides to dive aggressively back low and look to attack then and get what is possible. So we're really starting to see here why it is important to find yourself in position. Off the back of the group is Alexander Rogenbach. Stedman finds himself about 3/10 off Inigo Mardones, who's on the back of all of this, which could just so easily fall apart. And Pronk here still holding it off. Moving on that low line. We've seen it's been nigh on impossible at the moment, but Lemon, with the best run he's had so far, moves up high, trying to take this away, trying to take some track away is Jeremy Pronk, but DL Lemon just can't get enough. He turns in, it's not there. Peters and Barendregt are there, and three wide is Ben Bennyworth. The traffic's trying to get through up top, so that could be very, very interesting, and so too could Alex Everett here. He could help his teammate Ollie Peters move to the front. That could be another play that they could start doing. Follow me, I'll try and get you up there. And it continues here as they go through. Lemon looking good, but he can't get down low again. It's taken away by Ollie Peters, who does wash a little bit up the circuit. And now it starts to get aggressive here with 25 laps to go. As you got Barendregt there as well. Lemon up high, covering off the lap cars then as they go through. So aggressive, almost taking the wheel away from Barendregt then. Going through. Lemon with a great run. Goes up to Ollie Peters then. How aggressive do you want to be inside the final 25 laps of this race? The final quarter, this could mean everything. Pronk getting a little bit of a gap now as Lemon goes low. Up high goes Ollie Peters, and through they'll go. And Bennyworth now sighting away through. Whitehouse trying to follow, but he's got no room to do so. Barendregt will cover off that one as well, and Everett will go through as well, trying to go through. And that is a battle, Whitehouse and Everett, by the way. It is for position out there on track, so they've got to be very alert to how they're going. You've got battles in different laps, in different positions, all in the same group, which could be disaster. Paleta's fallen to the back now of the group as Stedman and Mardones now have moved up a position now into 7th and 6th positions respectively. If Barendregt runs into troubles, this will be perfect for Dave Stedman. Exactly what he needs to do is just keep it out of trouble. If they make trouble in front, this is going to be the key. And the longer that this race goes, the more likely there will be trouble. And Jeremy Pronk, who leads this race, suddenly has to defend hard, because here comes DL11 as they go through that trioval once again and looking to try and get that run through 1 and 2. Again, he just stalls out the run. Jeremy Pronk has got a car fantastic for the front, and it really is showing right now. And the key is, look at the high line, because they're starting to push. The traffic's going on the high line at this point in time. Mardones starts to come back in the Necky car as he, on his debut, effectively tries to get there. Mardones almost in, Morales almost into the back there of Thijs Barendregt then. Mardones just getting out of the way. It was Mardones going around then and moving up now into 5th place with all that going through. Here comes DL Lemon again, though, here with 22 laps to go when they cross the line, trying to get the move done, but again, it is not there. So patience having to be the better part of valor once more. Ollie Peters happy in 3rd, and it's stalling out at the moment here for the lap traffic cars as well. They're trying to take that high line, and suddenly Barendregt drops behind Mardones now. He drops back into 5th position. More points that he'll have to drop. Anything lower than 4th or 4th place is a drop right now for Thijs Barendregt, who will not be scoring out of today. Still, though, you've got to think about this in terms of what this race means and matters for at this point, as Ollie Peters now finds himself in 3rd and wants to be aggressive again, as we got ourselves 18 laps to go next time they go through. And here comes Peters trying to thread the needle and move himself up to the race lead. He goes alongside. That's the furthest alongside we've seen anybody here through 3 and 4, but it doesn't work out just yet for Ollie Peters. He'll lose the line here as on the bottom. DL Lemon will once again bring himself into play in what's an aggressive fight. Inigo Mardones, the Spaniard, in 4th position now, starting to carve down low. And he's got Whitehouse he's got to get by. And suddenly the front 4 will be fighting. And Barendrecht's got to follow it, but he's stuck in the middle of traffic then, as through will go Alex Everett. And that will bring Dave Stedman into the fight. What an aggressive fight we have got on our hands. And DL Lemon here is trying to corral the troops then over the radio. He's saying, come on, will you guys come up and give some help here? We can't get anything done at this moment in time. So now Ollie Peters moves up on that high line, trying to get something sorted. Mardones is there as well. You got David Whitehouse, who's some lap traffic, trying to move through and gain a lap back, but it's certainly not helping at this point in time. So now you're looking on that top side. Jeremy Pronk just holding it off. He's probably got enough fuel to make it last, but we will see as we get to the end here with 15 to go when they next cross the line. DL Lemon again stuck on the high line. Cannot get by Pronk. And there's Ollie Peters getting close, and he's going to wash up here, and everyone's going to follow as they wash up. Bennyworth and Whitehouse in their own races right now. And now Barendrecht's going to thread the needle 3 wide through the middle. He'll go through the middle and try and get it done. Peters is washing a little bit as well as they go through. So now it's going to start stacking up. Everett on the high line, and now there's only 2 in with the traffic. And look at Dave Stedman's run. He's up to 5th position now, past Mardones, and trying to get around as well the likes, of course, of Thijs Barendregt. Stedman has not given up title hopes just yet as he tries to go up on that high line and bring himself into play. Still, it is not over and done with as things stand. Pronk looks great. Lemon looking great as well. And now, all of a sudden, that traffic could be a huge factor in this race. With them 3rd and 4th in the trains, it's starting to look brilliant. Steadman now getting himself up into 4th position. It's Ollie Peters now who drops back into 5th. And you're seeing now how the traffic really is playing a factor. It's a buffer to the front too. It's a free pass for DL11 to attack if he wants it, and he'll need it here, as now Steadman going low is trying to bring himself. Remember, he was almost a lap down at the 2nd caution as he had to pit under green flag conditions. He got himself luckily back into play. Whitehouse almost tapping DL11's rear left tyre going through into 1 and 2. So DL11's Bitcoin car stuck with the Dutch sim racing team car at the moment of Jeremy Pronk, who's been running that low line fantastically and covering off the charge then as they go through. But you need some help on the outside if it's going to work. Everett starting to struggle. Paleta now coming back into it ever so slightly here. So Leonardo Paleta, the Italian, has a little bit of a chance here to make something happen. The line stalls on the high side behind one Mr. David Whitehouse, and suddenly Barendregt is back there in 3rd, trying to get back into position here as we find ourselves suddenly with 10 to go at the line, and it is all about those two at the front at the moment. It's Jeremy Pronk, it's DL11, and look how aggressive it is. This is where you've got to be brave. You've got to be willing to take some air away through some of the corners here. You've got to experiment a little bit if you want to get through. It's been a case of Pronk has been doing everything correctly on the low line. Barendregt suffers, and Paleta now with a move for the podium. 3 wide for the podium at this point. But it's going to be a case where Barendregt does just enough and holds off at least for the moment. 3 wide for 3rd, and it's still not there as they continue on their merry scraps and try and push forward, get what they need. A caution could change everything at this moment in time. Tim Stroh is also trying to make some work here and push forward. He's going with Paleta here as they start to try and make something happen here. Pronk again on that inside, covering it off. Whitehouse very nearly driven into up on the high side by Paleta, who's doing well. Remember, Paleta's had chances to win. Motegi, he had a really good chance to win that race. It didn't quite happen for him. But again, DL11 is pushing up on that high line. He's being moved over to the middle of the circuit here. He's got to come down and pinch. He's got to be aggressive now. Push into that line slightly. But again, Jeremy Pronk holding a 3/4 of a car length then as they go through. Paleta needs a monster run here, but all of the track is chock-a-block at this moment in time as the ALP car has nowhere to look at this moment. 8 cars all within a second here in terms of it. Oh, and how close you want to get here as they'll have 6 to go. Remember, a caution inside the final 5 laps will end the race outright. There will be no green flag restart. Here comes Leonardo Paleta, 3 wide into turn number 1. Lemon is going to try and drop back into the toe as the dirty air washes up and gives you so much. But Paleta moving up high again, trying to take it away, but he doesn't have enough of a run. He needs to come back from a little bit further. Barendregt there in 4th position, would love another podium. He's been a podium hunter. He's been great at getting 3rds and 2nds in these races, but with 5 laps to go, how are you going to find it? Jeremy Pronk doing all that he needs to at the moment. He's been covering that line for pretty much 35 laps now at this point. Will he be able to make it 40? Paleta again searches 3 wide up on top. The top line hasn't really been working too well here in this race. You've got to be cheeky here. You've got to try and get underneath and cover. You've got to try and find that weakness. Put Pronk where he doesn't want to. Barendregt trying to push on the low side. Sneak one up and move into a position. Mardonis 5th. Peters now into 6th position. Steadman's dropped all the way back into 8th, and Ben Bennyworth is there as well. Bennyworth is just trying to keep himself out of trouble here. They'll have 3 to go then as they fight, and still it's DL11's Bitcoin car on the outside trying to find an overtake in a line which does not seem to go out there and work. Paleta is there. Barendregt trying to form into a line and get something working, and Paleta still trying to search the outside line. Still isn't working. Stroh's had an issue. He's out of the race now. So no luck for Timothy Stroh. His race is done. But again, Paleta pushes 3 with DL11 unable to get anything going. And you might have to try and start really finding it. They're going to have to work together if they want it sorted here. They continue their scrap to lap 99 of 100. Paleta again searching on that line. still trying to find it. He can't get anything. It's been a classic race of can't pass here at Chicagoland. Everyone's been able to, except for the race lead. And we'll come to the white flag here at Chicagoland Speedway with Jeremy Pronk looking fantastically. Have they all been biding their time for lap 100? Here comes Paleta again, as well as the run from DL Lemon. It's 3 wide as they go through 1 and 2. You've got to pinch down on Jeremy Pronk. He's still got the car length at this point in time. What a staunch defense this has been. The wall has been unable to be broken at this point in time. 3 and 4, they'll come along. You're going to have to be aggressive here on the run to the line. Jeremy Pronk's been fantastic through this race. They start fanning out. Pronk will take it at the line, and he held it. And was it ever in doubt with the way that they were racing? Lemon second, Paleta in third. Jeremy Pronk takes his 2nd win of the season. What a race between Jeremy Pronk and the newcomer DL Lemon. That was an incredible race from start to finish. 3 cautions over the course of the day. And in the end, on the final lap, Inigo Mardones was able to take one away from Ollie Peters. Barendregt can only manage 6th on a day where the championship contenders were personas non gratas over the course of the way that they were racing. But let us have a look. That's how qualifying ended. Let's have a look at how the race ended then overall. What a race we had today. Jeremy Pronk takes it by 400ths at the line, ahead of DL Lemon and the Sim Racing Associates Bitcoin Sim Racing Team car, with Leonardo Paleta in 3rd and Inigo Mardones in 4th position for Necki Racing Team. Ollie Peters gets a top 5 with that effort working, with Thijs Barendregt then in 6th, Dave Stedman 7th, Alfredo Morales in 8th place. 9th will go to Alexander Rogenbach with David Whitehouse in 10th, and it is Alex Everett in 11th, 2 laps down, along with Ben Bennyworth. Tim Stroh out of the race, 11 to go, had to use his fast repair early and his tow. And ultimately, the race finishing as well for Andy Scott and Jürgen Pedersen together on their crash, calling out the final caution of the race. So, with that all said, we will go and get ourselves a little bit of a conversation with some of the drivers here today. First and foremost, race winner, Jeremy Pronk. Jeremy, 2nd win of the season. It looked like it was all down to getting yourself into position. A little bit of luck with cautions, but crucially for you, it was your ability to get in and out of the lane quickest that got you the race victory.
Yeah, basically. It was actually like a really tense race from the pit stops, like I think that was the first caution, until the end. It's just defending, staying as close to the white line as possible, and yeah, just being under pressure for half a fucking race. Puh.
We will apologise for any language that you heard there, but Jeremy,
sorry.
it's all right. It's all right. Jeremy, 2nd win of the season. You're looking at this now as sort of a bounty hunt. The biggest bounty, of course, of them all comes around 1 week from today over at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Do you feel like that as a race for you and the way that you're approaching this, it's a case of win and everything else at all costs is basically a bonus?
Yeah, I'll try to win it. And well, actually, my main goal this season was to try to get most poles. Well, that didn't work out. But luckily as well, Indy is one of my favorite tracks, usually on custom setups, not on fixed, so I need to adjust a bit for that. But yeah, I'll just try and go for the win, I guess.
You certainly will, and the floor is yours here, Jeremy. Shout out sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank.
I guess DZT, the team. That's basically it.
Sometimes it's as simple as that. There, as Jeremy Pronk picks up a big race victory here today. We are going to jump around and talk to some drivers here, there, and everywhere. Thijs Barendregt, the other Dutchman, we'll have a little bit of a chat with right now. Thijs, you'll take this as a drop. It's not necessarily the end of the world, seeing as your main rivals finished behind you today.
Yeah, I haven't seen what happened to Alex. I heard on Discord that he hit the apron and then spun it. But I was just taking it easy, try not to get taken out. Like at some point, like at the second restart, I was talking to Ollie like, if there won't be any yellows, Jeremy won't be able to make enough fuel. So we'll just sit the two of us behind him and then we'll fight out who will win. And I was like, that's a pretty good plan. And then like 2 seconds later, a yellow came out. And then the whole plan was ruined. And then at some point, we were running with the 3 of us and was like, okay, I don't mind. Like, it's pretty clean. And then I think Alfredo and a few other guys joined the party. And I was like, I'm not gonna be in here and getting taken out. And then finished behind Alex anyway. And so I think it was a pretty insane race and really cool to drive. And, well, watch it from a bit further back, but it was a really cool race.
Well, some wise heads prevailing there in terms of how you battle. How important was it to get an understanding of where you can make passes, how you try and get yourself into position, and getting this is sort of a data curve race maybe for you moving to Indianapolis next week?
Well, it seemed like in the beginning it would be actually a bit easier to pass the leader because of the understeer even on your own. But then I quickly realized that the low line was good for the leader, but once you're really close behind him, you just want to drive a bit higher. So, and then in the end, everyone's driving up high, and then a few guys go low, and it gets pretty aggressive with a few cents, and then it takes a bit more aggression. But I think we all quickly realized that the high line, if you're in dirty areas, would be the better line. And I think that's why there was so many 2 and 3 wide action, and I think even at some point 4, maybe even 5 wide was crazy.
Well, you look at it from a perspective today that 6th position will be another drop for you. You have Alex Everett with another bad performance, so isn't really going to be scoring too many points in comparison to what you've got. So you have the championship lead now, heading to the final round. You versus Alex, anything's possible. What do you think is your game plan going into Indy?
I think it will be just pick the battles and then just try to survive, and I think that will take me to the championship, hopefully. We'll just have to calculate like where do I have to finish when Alex finished first and second and all that kind of things. And then I'll probably know what I can do and how I can go into the race.
Well,
I think I have to be pretty calculated.
Absolutely. And we will see how that will happen 1 week from today. Taj Barendregt joining us there from a 6th position finish. We are going to get a chance, though, to jump in with the driver who finished 2nd in DL Lemon. DL, a tough race there in the sense towards the end. It looked like that there was definitely pace from a lot of drivers today to make those moves, but the moment you try and make something happen on the high line, you just buffeted away.
Yeah, well, the inside line is definitely the best line, and I just figured the second best line is the second lowest line. So 52 car did an outstanding job of it's really hard to keep it on that low line the more you get into the race, because your tires start giving out and it wants to push up, and you got to stay right on that line to keep going fast. And he just did a great job.
And in terms of a race like this, a very draft-dependent race, how important was it to make the right moves at the right time? You spent a lot of the early stint towards the back of the pack, trying to move on forward, stay out of trouble. How important was timing today in terms of a race like this?
Well, I guess it worked out all right because, like you said, the first part of the race, I got up there in the middle of it and then figured out that maybe it was a little too early, and I just kind of dropped back and hung on. Then we had that yellow, the only yellow, and that put me back up into 6th. And then it was time to start thinking about getting to the front, because you got to be in the front.
Absolutely, you do. You can't win a race from the back, so to speak. But how do you challenge then the final round of the season? Are you looking for all of the glory and a proverbial glass of milk at Indy?
I wish, but Indy is my home track. It's my favorite track. But that short shoot wall coming out of 1 can bite you sooner than you can even think about it. So it's a challenging racetrack, and I can't wait to get there next week.
Well, we can't wait to see you next week either, DL. Shout out sponsors, anyone you'd like to thank.
No, I just want to thank Paul Stover at his garage in Del Rio, Texas. He's a great guy, and thanks for the opportunity to race with you guys.
No worries at all. DL Lemon there joining us. Second position overall, ultimately, and we'll continue to look down the list. Then David Whitehouse joining us right now. 10th position in the end. David, it looked like for all the world that you had a car that potentially looked like a rocket ship at times. It had the ability to climb up inside the top 5, the top 3, really had some great pace, but it just looked like, just like qualifying, the wall out of 4 became your nemesis.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even expect to be getting up there during the race after practicing qualifying. I wasn't anywhere near the pace, but something clicked in the race and the car just kept going forward on that high line. I hated the inside line. It just kept pushing up the track. So kept it on the high line and just kept lifting off when I needed to, but then just it was one push too many on, I think, lap 50. Hit the wall, got into the pits, and then Alex bringing out the yellow was just perfect for me.
Well, it certainly brought you back into an important fight towards the end. How difficult is it in terms of racing about some of the leaders when you know you're in your own race? You've got to fight with the likes of Alex, you've got Ben Bennyworth there as well, getting himself into the play. How difficult is it to not only just race, but race respectively, knowing you're racing in among the leaders?
Well, it's like you say, it's really difficult. You've got to make sure that you're not going to obviously ruin their race. And to be honest, I think part of it is just to drive like you would be there, but not laps down. Because if you start second guessing yourself, you're going to cause an accident at those speeds and the closeness it was. We were close to it a couple of times with people getting huge runs off the corner and just blasting through the middle, and you're just like, yeah, I don't want any part of this. I'll let you go here. But most of the time, you just race how you would normally race to try and keep it clean, because you don't want to second guess your own sort of opinion on things.
Absolutely correct. And in terms of using this as a textbook maybe for Indy a week from today, are you looking at this with an idea of the car felt absolutely great on the high line, I had really good ability to follow in the draft, it might be something very similar that gets me up there maybe at Indianapolis Motor Speedway?
Probably not. Completely different type of speedway. Not as much banking, so the high lines are a lot more difficult through the corners. It's almost one line through the corners at times, so it'll be about straightaway speed there. And if it hasn't been a super speedway, I haven't been too great this year, but maybe Indy will just be a little bit different because we all know how it runs.
Very much might be the case here. Before we let you go, David, shout out sponsors or anyone you'd like to thank.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Alex for obviously putting this championship on, you guys for the stream, which is brilliant every week, and to my sponsor, Seesaw Digital, who have sponsored the car all year.
No worries at all then. David Whitehouse finding himself with a great opportunity in the early stages, but the wall ultimately proving a bit of drama. Last of all, we'll get a chance to talk with Alex Everett here. And Alex, you know, this was not the way you wanted this race to go. You had yourself in great position in second throughout the entirety of the first stint. You alerted everyone that you were pitting. We thought pitting was always going to be difficult from the front. And it looks like the apron grabbed you and it said, no, you will not have this race.
Yeah, I only have myself to blame, to be honest. Yeah, I just went onto the apron and it was all a bit of a havoc because Discord was loud in my ears, everyone's ears to be fair, but yeah, everyone was talking, trying to maneuver around each other, and then when I got to the apron, there was someone trying to get me in my inside, and there was somebody on my outside, and I was trying to brake, and these cars are very difficult to brake on. It was a recipe for disaster. And I think if it was someone else pitting instead of me, I think the same thing would have happened, to be honest. It was difficult to negotiate, but I have only myself to blame. I could have done what Dave did, pulled off a little earlier, and I only have myself to blame for, you know, panicking once it did happen and stay out, but I ran out of fuel and I had to tow it back. So yeah, I'm kicking myself furiously at the moment, particularly as I've just updated the championship results as well, and I've seen how far behind I am. It's a bad day to top off a bad week for myself.
18 points is a lot now, so you've got a lot to focus on ahead of you and to really put together in the books. So in terms of now how you challenge, and how you take a race like this and really, you know, move on forward with it and give as much as you possibly can for what is Indianapolis. Is this just going to be a case of win and just hope there's some drama in the field?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Yeah, Indy's been good to me. I've said that about a lot of speedways this season, but yeah, I'm a past winner, the Indy 500, so I know how to win there. I know how to work the strategies. But to win the championship now, I have to win that race, and Tice has to be lower than 10th. That's excluding considering bonus points. But I'm gonna have to hope for a bit of luck. I'm just gonna have to go. Well, I'm just gonna have to go for it.
Well, go for it. We hopefully will see you there. Before we let you go, Alex, of course, disconsolate as you are, shout out sponsors anyone you'd like to thank.
The usual sponsors, the main sponsor of our league, of course, Apex Tracks. The prize will be going to someone, probably Tice, after next week. Lovely model sculpture of Indianapolis. Thank you to you guys. It's been great watching back these broadcasts. I knew you guys would do a great job on this, so yeah, I have you guys to thank most for this.
No worries at all. Alex Everett there, joining us then with what has been a championship which, by every element of understanding, it has been rather close. Up, down, left, right, central. This has been pretty much a case of it's been ebbing and flowing and scales have been tipping. Is this the biggest that the scales have tipped so far this season? The answer is yes, but it is the fabled Indianapolis Motor Speedway which will bring the final round of the championship into full view. And just a reminder for you, ladies and gentlemen, you can sign up for absolutely free and race in that. Anybody is free to get themselves in on the action. The Indy 100, go to crestautosport.com/IndyCar series. It'll be the first day of week 13, a brand new build as well. So there'll be so much to understand and learn with when it comes to Indy. Make sure you check that out, along with our sponsors here today who have been absolutely fantastic, bringing ourselves into play, from Track Racer, 603 Autosport, lovely stickers, Digital Motorsport, Esports Sim, and the GP Box, and not forgetting Apex Tracks, the motorsport and motor racing circuit wall art race track sculpture designers using Formula One and motorsport-inspired rapid prototyping technologies. On the cameras has been William Foyle. My name's been Jake Sperry. Indy is just 7 days away, and on the first day of Christmas, Jeremy Pronk got given a victory at Chicagoland. We'll see whether that will be the same at Indianapolis, but it will be all to play for as we head to the home of IndyCar racing.